Thank you. So, as this slide says, I'm going to talk about art and design projects that use or think about machine learning. And if you want to tweet, my Twitter name is Luba. And so I am a curator and researcher specializing in creative applications of artificial intelligence, and mainly looking at art and design, but also music to an extent. And let's get started with this image. How many of you have seen something like this before, of this aesthetic? Wow, so quite a few people. This is good. I think this image is probably 3 years old now. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it came out of Google Brain in the US, where they developed an algorithm that emphasizes the features in an image. So just to show you how it works, this is an artist, and if you run him through the algorithm, maybe if I'll play it like this. So if you run him through the algorithm, then you will see that you get strange shapes coming out of his face, like you will have seen in the image just before. And this is because this algorithm tries to find patterns and things in an image when they're not there. And there's been some other beautiful work done there by Mike Tate, who's also one of the researchers, and by Danielle Ambrosi, who is a computational photographer combining various techniques with Deep Dream. Another technology that kind of came out in 2015 was this neural algorithm of artistic style, which you probably remember from the Prisma app, which was popular about 2 summers ago. And you change this photograph into an impressionist painting. And artists such as Jean Kogan have played around with Mona Lisa, making her cubist, impressionist, and so on, and also broadening the definition of style to move kind of beyond artistic styles, but also to expand to hieroglyphics or Google Maps. And then there were some projects that look at how you reconstruct videos frame by frame, such as this auto-encoding Blade Runner project by Terry Broad. So let's see if it's going to play. So you have on the left you have the original film, and on the right is the reconstructed version. And you can see it's blurry in places. In some areas, it becomes reconstructed better than in others. And so I remember talking to this researcher, and he was also telling me that at some point he tried to upload this to YouTube or Vimeo, and then he got this copyright infringement notice. So it's quite interesting, because I guess if you as a human watch this, you probably wouldn't want to watch the whole film of it because it's very blurry. But of course, some of the algorithms that pick up this, that try to detect kind of uploaded content, they pick up on that. And kind of after that, there came a wave of artists who have started using generative adversarial networks to generate some images which are quite artistic. And if I show this to an art audience, they will always tell me that this looks like Francis Bacon or Egon Schiele, because you can kind of recognize that the shapes are a bit kind of mangled, and sometimes the features or body parts are not quite in the right place. But whenever I talk to the artists, they always tell me that there has been kind of no inspiration from the early 20th century art history, but rather it's kind of is what the machine has been able to do based on the data sets of faces and figures it has been trained on. And yeah, just to kind of also show some ASCII, or how do you pronounce this? Yeah, so basically if you do a line drawing, you can put this through one of the neural network systems, then you'll get it in this ASCII format. Yeah. Yeah, so these were kind of some of the basic uses or applications of some of the generative tools that were put forward by the technology community. And now I'm going to show you some of the more interesting art and then design projects. There are some artists who place a lot of attention on the dataset component, so on the images or texts or videos that they feed into the algorithm to then kind of get further results. And one of the first artists to do this was Roman Lipski, who took a photograph of this nighttime scene in LA, and then he painted kind of 9 different versions of this photograph because he is a painter. That's what he does, and this is kind of one of his first interactions with this image generation technology. And then he fed these 9 images into a neural network, and it started kind of generating some images in his style, or from what I understood. And then the artist kind of responded by making more images, by painting some of these, and then kind of putting them back into the algorithm to receive kind of images like that. So it became like a dialogue between the artist and the machine, where kind of they each were giving or creating art for the other and seeing how the practice of each other developed. And yeah, these are some images of the paintings. And yeah, there is another artist called Anna Ridler who watched this film called Fall of the House of Usher. It's a 1928 black and white film of this Edgar Allan Poe short story. Let's see if it's gonna play. So play, yeah. So you can get a feel of what it looks like. So she watched this film, and then she proceeded to make 200 or 300 ink drawings, so painstakingly, hand by hand, to make her own data set, and then get the neural network to generate images in her style, and which she then made into an animation. And you can see that it's quite blurry in places. And that is partly due to the fact that, you know, she's only a human and there is only so many ink drawings she can do in a given point in time. But yes, I know from talking to her that there are certain elements of her style that the machine has picked up on. So, for example, it turns out that the way the artist draws her eyebrows and eyes is quite similar, so the machine gets confused. Or sometimes in the animation there might be an object that appears and disappears in the background, and that's because it might be something like a chair, which is insignificant to the artist, and then kind of the machine is sometimes not always able to interpret that correctly. And to look at some kind of gaming style footage as a data set, there is an artist called Lawrence Leck who is very much popular in the fine art community. And he's been making kind of machinima or games style videos. And one of these is called Geomancer, and it is about an AI that lives in the future in Singapore in, I think, 2050 or so. And it used to be a military satellite floating around the sky. And then it decided to come down to Earth. And what is the best career for a satellite to do is, of course, to be an artist. I don't know why. But yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's thinking about some of this post-human society when we also have a lot of time maybe. But yeah, this is kind of some of the original footage, and this is what the algorithm was generating. And the way this was incorporated into this Dreamcatcher film is that there was a passage when the satellite was dreaming about its future, and this is what the dream looked like. So you can see it's a bit different from the kind of the standard style, and it showcases the different state of where the satellite is at in its, I guess, conscious state. And yeah, moving on, I'm going to talk about some projects that look at recognizing and kind of classifying, which is another task that these AI systems are often put towards. And one of the first art world projects I saw there was this IK prize from the Tate. So the Tate used to run this prize for using new technology to bring the Tate's collection to the world. And 2 years ago, they themed it on AI, and there were lots of submissions looking at how you can kind of spread the British technology. And this was the winner. It's recognition by Fabrica. And what this project is about is basically matching the artwork from the Tate's collection, which you see on the right, to contemporary photojournalism. So you can probably see some notices, some similarities in terms of I guess composition. So you have two people there and kind of two ladies there, but of course the situations and the environments are quite different. But yeah, there were some fun examples. So I think this is, I don't know if it's a BMW or some sort of car seat that was compared to Henry Moore sculpture. And you can probably kind of realize why. So the two seats do look quite a little bit like the head there. And then there was this image that compares a person who is working in front of the screen to a scholar from the past. So yeah, they've got a selection of some of the fun examples on the website if you want to look at some more on the Tate IK Prize. And other artists or technologists have thought about how you can kind of bring these elements to curate or combine photos together. So this is a work by Philipp Schmitt, who made a photo book that was kind of put together by the computer. And the computer looked through all the photographs, and I think it put them into lots of little groups, and then kind of figured out what is the best way to arrange them as a book. And one of the more commercial examples is this Emma bot or Twitter bot by Artfinder, which is a company that sells art online. So you could tweet some art that some photographs of art that you liked, and then it would proceed to find the similar art on its website, which you can then buy. And yes, that was quite helpful if you wanted to buy art. And then if you want to visit places, but you're not sure where to go, then there is this artwork by Scott Kelly and Ben Polkinghorne. Because of course, if you go into nature, you probably want to be recommended other natural destinations, just as you are when you go shopping on Amazon. So yeah, he's done a couple of works like that that kind of emphasize our addiction to technology and also how these recommender systems influence our life and shape our decisions. And now if we think about the data sets that go into a lot of these algorithms, then there's an artist called Sebastian Schmieg that they created an installation that enabled you to classify lots of famous photography by Cindy Sherman or Trevor Paglen into 4 categories. It was problem, solution, past, and the future. And it kind of showed you how you as a human sometimes might struggle to figure out which of these you would, I don't know, call a problem, which you would call it a future. And you can see, so for the problem category, some people put children or nuclear power stations. In terms of the solution, you sometimes get Arts Council England or a parrot. If you think about the past, you get anything from ice cream to sofas. And for the future, you have people with guns and solar eclipses. And so you can see some of the kind of votes that these images were given in different categories. And so sometimes we humans also struggle in categorizing certain images in broad categories that sometimes might seem not so relevant with an image, to a particular image. And so, of course, that is also sometimes difficult for machines. Now I'm going to show you some more design-related examples. I don't know if anyone here has been to Hamburg. Nobody?
Yeah, I've been.
You've been? Have you been there recently?
Last 3 years.
Last 3 years, okay. I think this is from 2017. But they have this kind of area near the wharf where they built this beautiful Elbe Philharmonie. And this is quite special because they used various machine learning techniques to create kind of 10,000 panels that were all different. And apparently when you construct one of these buildings, you have to kind of be really careful with what the interior and the spatial design is like because it affects the acoustics. So if you are trying to do it as a human, it is quite difficult. So they employed a machine learning tool to generate kind of unique shapes that also fitted the criteria they needed to make sure that the sound is correct. And this is kind of how it was working. And if you're talking about designing things with AI, I guess generative design comes up a lot. And this would be kind of related to Project Dreamcatcher, which is a tool made by Autodesk that enables you, that helps you out at kind of various stages of the creative process, but mainly kind of generating different products, like this Elbo Chair. So apart from helping to figure out what is the best way to generate this chair design so that it's fitted the different criteria that the artist wanted, the designer wanted. This is also interesting because it was one of the first cases when the designers wanted something made out of wood, and it's not a material that is standardly kind of available for these generative systems. So they had to figure out how to kind of look at different mediums and make those happen. And there is a company called AI Build that has a factory in East London, and in this factory they have robots that use computer vision techniques to help create various installations, such as this or this one. And so these robots, they 3D print kind of the designs that were sent by the human. And yeah, so I think this year Dakan Kam and his AI Build company, they were involved also with a project for the Venice Biennale, for the Creation Pavilion. So yeah, so it does show that it is kind of trendy. And yeah, moving on to the graphic side of design. You might have seen this wonderful Nutella packaging, which was made in Italy, and it came in 7 million different designs, all made by the algorithm. And yeah, it's an example of one of these kind of campaigns where the advertising world tries to latch on the fascination and the popularity of everybody applying AI to everything. But I think it's one of the only projects like that I want to include, and that's partly because I like it. I think it's quite pretty and visually appealing, and I'm not surprised that all these 7 million packages were sold very quickly. And then if the Collaborate Bristol people ever decided that they needed to change the logo, I'm not sure if they have a logo. Oh, you have one there, yeah, Collaborate. Yeah, I should pay more attention. But it says Nomensa there, it doesn't say Collaborate. So that was my reference point. But yeah, there are some websites like LogoJoy that can generate logo ideas for you based on based on various input that you give them. So if you tell them that you want a logo for a conference, you can give them an indication of what type of designs you like, or also what type of color schemes you like, and then they will kind of provide you with some suggestions. And yeah, I'm not really a designer, so I probably can't comment on how good these are, but certainly these are some options you could use if you did need a new logo. And yeah, now I'm going to mention a couple of techniques that have appeared in the kind of graphic and photo design space in the past couple of years. So one of these is image completion using deep learning. So if you had kind of an image that had a part missing, there are techniques that can help you kind of generate the missing part. There are techniques that can help you change your blurry image to a higher resolution one, which is useful. And if you wanted to have a photorealistic cat, but you could only draw one, then there was this Pix-to-Pix technique that was kind of very popular about a year or so ago, with kind of lots of artists applying it in their field, and also with lots of kind of opportunities available online where you draw and then you get various handbags or shoes that are now photorealistic. And there's kind of the same from semantic maps. You can submit this as an input and get kind of a photorealistic image as output. And yeah, there is there's also some very realistic stuff that has been coming out, like this work called CelebGAN by NVIDIA, which was trained on a data set of celebrity images, which is why these people are probably, I don't know, quite good looking. And yeah, I think this paper came out towards the end of last year, and it was around the time when there was this wave of deep fake images, which I don't want to include in my presentation, but I did want to include this, and this kind of shows what some of the technology can do. So this is a French singer
not just the spokesperson
called
for Donald Trump. He also serves as the spokesperson for all of America at times. He speaks for all of the country at times. Why put him out there for the very first time in front of that podium to utter a provable falsehood? It's a small thing, but the first time he confronts the public, it's a falsehood.
I mean, if we're going to keep referring to our press secretary in those types of terms, I think that we're going to have to rethink our relationship here. I want to have a great...
Yeah, so this is a French singer called Françoise Sagan. And as far as I'm aware, she's kind of no longer alive, but this artist called Mario Klingemann created this short clip where this artist is speaking the words of Kellyanne Conway about kind of some of the political stuff involving Trump. And the artist wanted to show here how somebody, I suppose, quite beautiful and involved in the arts can be made to kind of, talk things that she never did. And there are plenty of clips online also with Obama or Trump saying things that they never did. And it is currently one of the ethical problems in the technology community, because all these techniques keep advancing and the images and the sounds can be very realistic. But of course, you will have people who will play with them online and create footage that has never happened. And I don't think anybody has really come up with a good way to resolve it yet.
Not just the spokesperson.
Hey, go away. But yeah, as you are related to the field of I guess web design is not UX, but maybe it's a little bit closer to what you guys are interested in. I wanted to include some slides closer to your field. So one of these is a Flipboard Duplo, and that is kind of an automated magazine layout system that kind of analyzes the images and the text kind of that you put into kind of the magazine, and then figures out the optimal layout system also based on your device. And then there are various online websites that use AI to kind of help you design a website very quickly, such as this WIX Design Intelligence, which which enables you to put in some parameters such as what is your field and what type of content you want, and then they give you some options for designs. And this is similar to what FireDrop does. And so these are some of the AI generated designs by FireDrop, and they are quite similar. So it's unlikely that these tools will put out web designers of their job, because ultimately, if you're making a website, probably don't want it to be too kind of stock, to stock format. And if you're interested in seeing some more examples of the art, then there is an art gallery called Nips for Creativity. It is a collection of artworks that was submitted to an academic workshop I organized on machine learning for creativity and design. And how am I doing for time? A few minutes left. Okay, because I have this slide with my contact details, and then I have some more artworks that I can talk about. So I guess maybe I will see if people have questions. But yeah, if you need to contact me for anything, these are my contact details. But yeah, let's see if there are some questions, and if not, I can show you some more art.